Hello, welcome. I want to welcome you all to the first episode of Killers and Cocktails. What are we drinking today? It's a little bit of strawberry margarita, a little bit of lime, and some eyeballs. Okay. So, our first stretch of Killers and Cocktails, we're going to be talking about a lot of the mutable sign killers. A lot of serial killers, according to what I have researched, have all been mutable signs. Either they have been Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo. This particular series is going to be a little bit more intensive look inside the psyche of these serial killers through analysis of their birth chart. So welcome. Thank you so much. Bradley here is also, I guess, excited. So if you hear some whining, that is my puppy dog in the background. I'm not going to edit him out because... All right, so hello. We're going to get into our first mutable sign killer of the day. And it's going to be none other than the infamous Ted Bundy. So Theodore Robert Bundy, this is his government's name, was a serial killer, a rapist, and a murderer. He murdered at least dozens. It is said that he confessed to 30 murders, but it is said that he could have possibly committed anywhere from 30 to 90 murders, but he was only convicted, or he only confessed to the murders of 30 women. So he did these murders, these serial killer murders, between 1974 and 1978. And I don't believe he was caught until he was caught and arrested in Aquarius season, February the 15th, 1978. So we're going to go ahead and go through a little bit of his birth chart aspects, and then we're going to get into some facts about his life and things that he, like his childhood, his mom, his dad, where he grew up, how he was raised, all of that such. So let's go ahead and cut into it. Okay, so let's look at my notes here. So Theodore Robert Bundy, he was born November the 24th, 1946, in the lovely sign of Sagittarius. He was also born with a moon in Sag as well. So I'm guessing he was born on a new moon, or it should have been a new moon. His Mercury is in Scorpio. His Venus is in Scorpio. His Mars is in Sag. His Lilith is in Sagittarius. His rising sign is Leo. He was a life path number 1. So let's just go ahead and start breaking that down. Sagittarius is very fun, Sagittarius is abundant energy. They're charmers. They know how to talk. I always say that Sagittarius are the communicators of the fire signs. Also, with the moon in Sag, he was very fiery, very passionate, a charmer. He had a lot of fire sign energy, but I'm also getting to he could have been very angry. Like, he was one of those people that he suppressed his anger, but also possibly could not really express how he was feeling due to some childhood things. So Mercury in Scorpio, Ted knew how to talk to him. Like, don't get it twisted. I know people look at Ted Bundy. He did a lot of heinous, horrible crimes to women, to people. But how do you think that he was able to lure these people in? Ted was a charmer. His Mercury was in Scorpio, so he knew how to attract people to him. He knew how to talk to get them to kind of like him. He was very magnetizing. It was also probably something about the way that he would look at you or look at anyone else. I'm also getting to, people found Ted to be quite attractive. He wasn't really unattractive man. We'll show a couple pictures of Ted over here. Excuse me, y'all. I'm not nervous. I guess it could be a little drinky drink. All right. His Mars was in Sag. So a lot about the way that he moved, his actions. Mars is all about passion, the actual movement, how you move. It's in a fire sign. Sagittarius is a very fast, rapid growing energy. I'm hearing he had a very strong sexual appetite that he did not care about how he fed that. That could also have a lot to do with his Venus in Scorpio. Scorpio energy, Scorpio rules death. It was also said that Ted Bundy would sleep with the corpses of his victims for days after they had passed away, which is necrophilia. And that energy possibly comes from his Venus in Scorpio. With him being a Leo rising, I want to say that Scorpio, let's see, Scorpio falls in his what house? So let's look here. And also, yes, it says he was born on, so he was born, it says, when the moon was in the waxing crescent. So the moon probably had just moved out of the new moon territory, okay? So he had Leo in his first house. Scorpio fell in his fourth house. So he had 4 placements to fall in his, he had Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars to all fall under his fourth house. He was kind of born at the cusp. So there's a lot of those energies that were still transitioning. So with him having his Scorpio in the fourth house, there could have been a lot of sexual acts that he could have experienced very young, growing up. I'm also getting to, it's a possibility that I think that he could have been touched. I want to say, when I read up on some of the information about him, he was touched by a masculine energy. Let's see, hold on. Yeah, he had his mom married, like he kind of grew up in a funky like environment. His mom married his stepfather. She already had 4 children, and he really didn't get a chance to know his actual father. Like he was kind of like an illegitimate child. So I feel like that relationship, his mother, I think, was shunned. Like she had to leave where she was because I believe she got pregnant at a young age. And it was also said that his grandfather may have been the one to molest Ted at a very young age. His grandfather had a porn addiction, from close sources that said, and he also had a raging temper. And the porn that his grandfather would watch were like pornographies that had to do with like violence and things of that sort. So if Ted was able to get a hold of those things, that could have also led to, everything starts from your childhood. Let's state that. Everything that a child goes through, they literally learn it from their environment. So Ted was a product of his environment. He also, I don't think he had the best relationship with his mother, which is possibly why he probably was getting revenge on his mother through his victims. And they all said that the victims had very similar like attributes, in which I think the victims kind of looked like his mother. It says, in college during one time, he dated someone named Stephanie Brooks, whose real name was Diane Edwards. They fell in love brief. This was a girlfriend. No, this was a girlfriend that he had in college. All of his victims after this particular girlfriend kind of looked like Diane. But Stephanie broke up with him due to him being crazy, his lack of ambition, and he was a little bit immature. But all of his victims kind of looked like his ex-girlfriend. So he kind of took the revenge out. So I'm going to be honest. If you know anything about Sagittarius are very passionate. I always say Sagittarius are the only zodiac signs that have a weapon in their hand. Like if you look at the Sagittarius symbol, they have a weapon in their hand. They're half human, half horse. There's a centaur. That is what represents Sagittarius. Sagittarius are very flirty, but they're also very, like, I say Sagittarius can be sensual. They know how to talk to you. They know how to please you as well. His Lilith was also in Sagittarius, which means that he had a very vivid imagination when it came to what he liked sexually, but he was very particular about what he liked sexually. All of the females were young. None of them were older than 25 years old. Like he was able to talk to people. Like he was able to really speak. That Mercury in Scorpio really like magnetized people to what he would say. I feel like he knew how to read a room. Leo energy is also his rising sign. Leos are very courageous. They are very first person. They're going to be in your face. Also his rising sign, not his rising sign, his life path numbers number 1. If you know anything about life path numbers, that has a lot to do with kind of like the path in life that you would take on. Life path number 1s, they're going to get their way kind of by any means necessary as well. So Ted, he was kind of one of those people where I know he had a temper. If he didn't kind of get what he wanted, he would snap. That Venus in Scorpio is possibly where a lot of like the very intense passions, like he could have been someone that didn't really express verbally how he felt. It came out in his sexual energy. He had a lot of repressed emotions. And I feel like he didn't also have a lot of remorse for his victims. Like he felt like the world kind of owed him something. It's kind of sinister. In one of his trials, it said Bundy admitted to photographing the corpses of his victims. He decapitated 12 of his victims' heads and kept them as souvenirs as a reminder of his hard work. It's like, I just think Ted snapped. Ted had a lot of energy that he did not know how to outwardly express to anyone else. Sagittarius, they also rule, like they are part of that mercurial energy too, because you know Gemini rules Mercury. Sagittarius is the opposite sign of Gemini. When their thoughts are not aligned, it can kind of go left, and once they kind of get in that God complex, you kind of can't get them out of it. So Ted's final victim was a 12-year-old girl. I think this is the murder that actually earned him to get the electric chair. He was set to get executed on January 24th. It's interesting. He got arrested in Aquarius season and he died in Aquarius season. Let's see, where did Aquarius fall in his birth chart? His 7th house. The 7th house also has to deal with relationships, you're intimate. Ted had a lot of different people that he slept with. Aquarius energy rules large masses. It rules crowds. So if he had, and he also had Pisces in his 8th house, which means that he had a lot of fantasies about his sexual energy, like a lot of fantasies, a lot of probably like wow imagination. Pisces energy is Neptune energy. Neptune energy rules the illusions, the imaginations, the deceptions, you can also kind of get, it's escapism. With him having that in his 8th house, I can also see him fantasizing about having sex with dead people. The 8th house is all about death. It's about sex. It's about money, other people's money. Let's see. I know he had in his 2nd house too. His 2nd house, let's see. Let's see what Ted's actual Neptune placement was, or what was his Scorpio placement. So he had Venus in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio. His Neptune was in Libra. So that's also too possibly why Ted was able to get away with, that's probably how Ted was able to kind of get away with not getting in trouble so fast. I noticed that people that have Libra placements, they usually have some type of favor. So he was probably possibly able to get away with it as well. But he had Virgo in his second house. Virgo energy works really hard. I'm not sure what Ted did for work. Hold on, let's see. I'm not sure. Okay, so Ted studied law. So I'm trying to see. I'm sorry, y'all. I know that this is possibly not the most way, but I'm not good at memorizing people's information like that. So Ted studied law, which law, that could also be that Libra energy as well. Neptune, his Libra energy fell in his third house. Mercury, like the third house rules communication. They said that Ted represented himself during his trials. He studied law, but he was his own lawyer, or he represented himself. And also, too, he kind of enjoyed the publicity that he got from his case as well. I mean, that's possibly that Leo energy. So that is Ted Bundy. We're going to move on to our next person. Let's see who it'll be. We shall see. Bye.